What's going on, chat, and everybody out there listening? And welcome to another live stream, joined by a bunch of us here at Clearcryptos on the YouTube channel. Everybody says Justin has the alpha today, so
hey,
why you put me on the spot?
That's what they're saying in chat. I don't know.
Nah, you're the bad guy, Zach. You're the bad guy, not me.
Well, so here's the thing. First and foremost, guys, we can't talk about the fact that Clearcryptos is going to be dropping something tomorrow, something very unique, something that we haven't seen before that is going to I don't know how much I can say here. Yeah.
Hold on, nobody say anything. Just let him. Just
let it marinate a little.
I don't even know how much I can allude to it right now, but it's something very different. It's kind of a spin-off of something that's done commonly in the space, and this is Clearcryptos' angle at it that I think is a little bit different, that I think is going to benefit the entire community a little bit more. Is that okay? Is it? That's not too much.
I say you did a good job of pissing people off.
Yeah, people just laugh. Yeah.
What's going on with everybody, man? This week's been nuts. These last few days with FTX and centralized exchanges, but insert Clearcryptos. Something they're doing is making it easier for people to get in not using a DEX. So well positioned here, I think, for the future of onboarding new people into crypto. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing, that we've been talking about for Clearcryptos for a while now. Is I feel like this entire situation kind of defines why, a company like Clearcryptos has a good avenue for this space, right? One thing that's been like the reoccurring theme, no matter if you listen to FTX news, if you listen to CZ Binance, if you listen to even Elon Musk, right? The biggest thing that CZ even spoke about this morning was, one, we need to have more education, Clearcryptos, right? We need to be able to utilize DeFi is what he spoke about in his space this morning. He talked about not really needing the centralized exchanges if we kind of band together and be able to onboard good projects in the DeFi the right way. And that was the biggest step that kind of piqued my interest as I was brushing my teeth this morning, listening to it, was the fact that everything he talked about is everything that Clearcryptos has been delivering and trying to get people to see for the foreseeable future is, hey, we are a decentralized exchange, but we don't have to go through centralized exchanges, but we can create a path to get to centralized exchanges for the right projects in the right way. And I think the biggest thing that we saw with FTT or FTX is they were doing things that probably should have been, dug into a little bit deeper. And if you had a buffer, maybe somebody that was kind of checking every single letter, right, then you don't run into these problems, or you mitigate these problems. And I think that's where Clearcryptos comes in regards to mitigating these issues as you onboard to the next level of centralized exchange.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple comments, Hobbs. Those are great points. And I think you and I have both been listening to the same Twitter space for
I seen you in there.
going on like 72 hours straight. Mario's done a fantastic job. I've known Mario for a little while. We've communicated back and forth, but he's just been crushing it. CZ, it's interesting to hear the guy who runs the largest centralized exchange encouraging people to take self-custody of their crypto, right? And I think that's great. The guy from Kraken was also saying that, Jesse. And I think here's where I've kind of come to the conclusion here. And we've kind of known this, but it almost takes a disaster like FTX to really fully take action. But I think this is the turning point. It's sure, centralized exchanges are still needed to move money in and out of crypto. That doesn't mean you need to hold your assets there. Now, if you're trading that asset in the next day or two or week or so, that might be different. But a lot of people, including myself, have fallen into, because it's easy, because it's convenient to hold crypto on the exchange, and we've seen it's not a good idea. So Austin, Jay, I want you guys to kind of chime in on this a little bit.
Go ahead, Justin.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that CZ would go against his own self-interest, right? Like, yeah, don't get on these centralized exchanges, go to DeFi. One thing though I have noticed is that DeFi is kind of the villain in all this. Like, if you look at regular media, they're saying to stay away from DeFi, and DeFi is not the problem, which I think is also kind of interesting, the way that they kind of I don't know if it's more of like not knowing all the information instead of misinformation, right? Like where maybe they're not trying to spread the wrong thing, but inadvertently they are just because they don't know and they haven't dug into it enough. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I think would be interesting as well that you kind of brought up, Zach, is the fact that you do have to go to centralized exchanges to get your money back, right? And what if there's a way where you can circumvent all that and just get your money back in and out, and then you don't have to mess with centralization at all, right? You don't have that governing body, and we're just straight DeFi. DeFi is what it is. You get your money into crypto on DeFi, you get your money out of crypto on DeFi, and I think that'll help with the transition a lot.
I think it's a really good point,
Justin. I think you bring up. I love that you brought up the media. For me, my immediate knee-jerk reaction to your comment was the media. The vast majority of the media is lazy, and they don't really and they have no freaking clue what crypto is, DeFi is, and they want to lump it in. They want to give a very little simple explanation for it, which is why they're saying what they're saying, which is sad. But you see it all the time, and I think that that's always something we're going to deal with. And yeah, that's what I got. But as far as everything you guys said, I don't have anything to add beyond that. So.
Yeah, I mean this whole FTX situation, guys. I mean, we're seeing ripple effects throughout the entire industry. They're calling it a contagion, and I see why, because so many of these companies were tied to FTX in some capacity, and I think there's going to be more pain to come. But it doesn't change how I think we all feel here about the future of DeFi, about the future of blockchain, about the future of crypto. Everything, still needs to be redesigned and reimagined for the future of Web3. Will there be a lot more regulation than is warranted because of all this? My guess is yes. What do you guys think?
They're going to try for sure. They're going to make again, right? Kind of back to Justin's point about media. I think the government's going to has exactly the same approach. They're going to take a regulation through enforcement attitude. We have already seen them messaging that. Elizabeth Warren, people like that, already messaging the SEC should be a control. Don't get me started on the whole Gary Gensler thing. Woo. Okay. So I got all right. I'm okay. And it's just, but I think that yes, it's going to be a rocky road as it relates to regulation in the next 16 plus months, give or take.
Yeah. Hobbs, what do you think?
Sorry, I was muted, guys. No, I completely agree, man. I feel like, the thing about regulation, right, that people need to understand is regulation doesn't mean crypto stops. Regulation doesn't mean crypto doesn't become fun anymore. Regulation means that there's some safety hazards in place. And I think that the government, right, alone can't do regulation. I think the government needs a specific guideline from people who have been in crypto for a while, right? The DeFi projects in the space, the centralized exchanges in the space that have done it the right way. They need a go by, so to speak, right? And that's why I'm a big fan of Clearcryptos, because I feel like, knowing what I know, seeing what I see, I feel like Clearcryptos can be that go by to start the conversation, right? To say, hey, this is the way we did it. When you look at the space, we came in as a company. We didn't come in as a DeFi project, right? We came in, and what's funny, Zach, I know you probably heard him say it today too. CZ said the exact same thing. He said, we need to have a board of advisors. He said this. These are his words, not mine. Yeah. He said, we need to have a board of advisors. We need to have company structure. We need to have a location that works and that fits the regulatory background. Right?
All the regulatory cryptos already
literally everything Clearcryptos has. CZ himself, CZ from Binance, said it himself. Go back and listen to his Twitter space this morning. He said those 3 items, and I was brushing my teeth like, oh, I'm about to go buy some more Clear, because to me, I was like, this is exactly what regulation is going to look like. And if you look back, Binance didn't used to have any of that. Right? They came out with a board, right? But at the same time, they had no physical location. They recently started to get all of that because they wanted to start to look more like a company and to start running into that regulatory, satisfy that regulatory guideline. If you look at Clearcryptos literally from day one has been set up to be built like a company that's starting to change the game. And people didn't want to pay attention when Clearcryptos launched, right? There's a lot of people that might not have bought in, right? No problem. But just watch the way that they move, right? When you look at the way that they move, they're not worried about getting the DGens or whoever to buy up the chart. They're focused on capturing the attention of people that may be looking to onboard companies that can safely onboard other DeFi projects, because DeFi is the key, because DeFi gives you the keys, right? If you understand DeFi, you understand how Etherscan works, and you understand that CZ himself, the largest centralized exchange in the country, is telling you DeFi is what you need to understand, because that is what truly gives you the power, the keys that puts you can open up your wallet, and that's your money. You don't have to worry about a centralized exchange. So for me, it was a green light to say, oh, Clearcryptos, they're on the right path. They're tracking in the right direction. So that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, and then I'll piggyback off that a little bit. So I think what Hobbs is trying to say is the future, right? Like, I think a lot of crypto projects, they look towards the now, and also with the roadmaps, it's 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever. But Clearcryptos is thinking 5 years from now, 10 years from now, just like a regular company would. When a regular company gets together and they come up with a plan, they're not thinking about a year out or 2 years. They're thinking the 5 to 10 year plan. They want the long-term plan. And with crypto, everything is changing, and everything is changing so fast. But Clear has not only been able to look forward and adopt the changes now, but they'll be able to adopt the changes a lot faster in the future as well, because they're already thinking about, well, how could this change? Or, oh, well, there's this problem in crypto. How can we look to either A, solve that problem, or B, be ready for that problem when it does happen, so we know what to do, right? And that's what a lot of these other companies are doing too, just like Hobbs said with the other exchanges. Now it's like, okay, well, we have a problem of transparency. Well, what do we do to solve that problem, right? What do we do to make sure that we're around for the next 5, 10, 15 years? And Clearcryptos has already been doing that, right? We have the board. The board of advisors is huge. You're talking about people who have access to places and other people that most other companies, tokens, whatever, they don't have that type of access, right? Like, just do yourself a favor, like we always say, and go look at what the board, who's on the board, what they stand for, what they represent, what have they already done, and where have they come from. And you can see that there's a clear path laid out there. There are windows and avenues that they can reach that many average people can't reach. And that's bullish for a company. That's bullish for a token. That's bullish for anybody in the space. And I just feel like Clearcryptos has set themselves above the path and beyond the path. And we're going to see that play out very, very soon as things start to change. Clearcryptos can easily, if not change already, are already doing the changes that have to happen.
Yeah, it's crazy to look at this and say that as bad as it was, and has so many people were affected. Sometimes an incident like this is needed, though, for real change to happen. Like to us to actually get away from the centralized entities and really help DeFi grow. You almost need something catastrophic to happen, because otherwise it's just business as usual, right? You just continue on your same path and it's easy. You're already into whatever platform it is. Now, I think it sucks for some of the centralized exchanges out there that are actually doing the right thing. It sounds like Jesse and Kraken are doing that. Listening to him on the Twitter space over the past couple of days. They've been around for 11 years. It seems like they've really done everything and dotted their I's and crossed their T's. But even he said, don't hold your assets here. Use it to onboard and offboard money here. We don't need you to hold your assets here. It's not that. You could buy here, but then buy and transfer them, right? Get them over to cold storage, get them over to a DEX. But it does suck for some of the centralized exchanges that, are not doing shady business like the FTXs. But go ahead. Anybody else want to jump in? Austin, you got something? Hobbs?
I think it's what you said, Zach. I think that it's hard for human nature to change. And if you look at what the centralized exchanges did, was they made it simple. If you really distill it down, they put a pretty user interface in place, and that's really it. And they made it simple, and they gave people the ability to on and off, fiat. To me, that's really that's it. That's really fundamentally what they've done. And so I love the fact that Binance is saying that, Kraken is saying that, and they're setting a tone for the rest of the industry. And I think it's putting a lot of the centralized exchanges on notice, is that your world is changing, guys. And that's probably, at the end of the day, it's not probably, it is a good thing for crypto. And I think, Zach, you're right. You nailed it. If you go back and look at time, it usually takes a traumatic event for an industry, or events for an industry to change. It's very hard to change human nature, right?
This is our version of the .com bubble.
Yeah, absolutely.
In crypto, this is our version of, when something's so new like crypto is, you almost have to have one of these massive implosions before you can really grow and pick up the pieces and actually take it where you want to take it.
By the way, I'm an old guy. I lived through that. I was there at the .com bubble. I saw all that play out.
I can only read about it in books. So
I can only read about it. Well, let me tell you, Sonny, this is what happened on this day, But
tell us what happened.
But what's funny? There was a period of time where there was insane valuations being given. Money was being given out by the billions and billions of dollars to stupid projects that had no real legitimate, that shouldn't have ever been, as an example. And you could see the writing on the wall. It was like, of course it was going to happen. And it's similar yet different, right? Where crypto, it's these bad actors that have continued to screw it up for the rest of the people. But that doesn't surprise you when you have the situation playing out where you really have no oversight. Again, I'm not an advocate for huge government. I don't really want Big Brother here per se, but let's just call it what it is. You got to have something. You got to have some, right, to protect the people.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I kind of disagree a little bit with that.
Oh, there we go. Let's get some discourse. Here we go.
I disagree with the fact that this is the same, right? Like, when you really look at it, it was millions of dollars being leveraged against an asset that was worthless, right? It was a bad move. It was a bad mistake. But I don't think I'm gonna go on the different route and say I don't think it was done necessarily maliciously. I think it was just done stupidly, right? Because if you look back when crypto was moving, you could take loans out whatever you wanted to because you were going to make money, right? Nobody cared because everybody was making money. And then when we hit hard times, now it's, well, like, oh, you over leveraged something that wasn't worth anything. So now here's the issue, right? We saw the same thing happen with Terra pretty much. It's the same thing. And I think when Terra happened, I think SBF was like, oh shit, this is going to happen to me. I'm doing the same thing. Let me try to fix this. And he did. To his credit, he did try to fix it, right? He was buying up companies that were going to make what happened to him actually happen quicker. It wasn't until Binance came through, and this is, again, tinfoil hat, super shady, but I think CZ knew. I think CZ did all this on purpose, right? But I mean, that's just my opinion. We could talk about that later, but I think that him exposing this all, I do think it's good, right? Because now it makes it so that every other crypto exchange knows, hey, look, you can't do this. You can't put money, you can't back something that's worthless, right? You just can't. So now we're looking at Crow, we're looking at BNB. Like, are you backed by something real, or are you hedging yourself against actual assets when you don't have any value? Like, if you're not doing this, then you're fine. But I think that this is honestly the same thing, and it's no different with the tokens that are coming in. If you're just a BS token that you don't do anything, you're not going to survive here long, right? Nobody cares anymore whether you go up and up and up, because if you don't have a use case, eventually you're not going to be worth anything. Look at DAI, look at they pumped, but look at them now. They're not worth anything. So I think this is the same thing.
Jay, this is a great point, and this is something I talked about, and I caught some heat from this yesterday. But this is what I wanted answers from Chris from Crypto.com, and he actually gave these answers in his talk last night at 2:00. What FTX was doing is they were using the FTT token as collateral.
Right.
Basically, they were artificially pumping the price of that and using your funds as the user of FTX to do that, and to also fund, I don't know, FTX Arena in Miami, and signing Tom Brady, and basically becoming a superpower in 2 years. Think about this. How the hell were they spending more money than freaking Coinbase on advertising in 2 years in existence? Think about it. Well, I know how. They were spending all the users' money.
Yeah.
So that's why, I was kind of freaking out yesterday a little bit when the $400 million transaction with Crypto.com went through, and I caught some shit for it, but it's fine because nobody was bringing it to light. Now we learned that they're not using that's Chris's word. We're going to take him at his word. They're not using the Crow token as collateral. So, they also have an arena. Let's hope they're not using user funds to do that as well. But that's why I questioned it. But this is why the proof of reserves are so important. And now all these crypto exchanges are going to do that. But yeah, sorry, I'm just rambling.
But
Go
I
ahead,
mean, so the proof of reserves is important, but there needs to be some type of check and balance systems, right? Like proof of reserves is cool, but we just learned yesterday or over this weekend that they can basically, okay, let me transfer you the money because you got to do your proof of reserves. Just send it back to me when you get done. You know what I mean? Like, so what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to view it. Why can't we view it live, right? Like, why can't we just go in and look for it ourselves? Why does it have to be a secret of what your balance sheet looks like? In the stock market, right? We wait, for earnings, but at the same time, anytime we want, we can go and look at these publicly traded companies and find out exactly where the money's going.
True.
I feel like crypto should be no different, especially when you're talking about holding people's money and with the bad actors that have been around and literally have, stolen people's money and used it for advertisement. For me, FTX, we've always talked about it on the channel. We were bullish on it, but the question that we always asked was, where the heck is he getting all his money from? That was our biggest concern. Is just like something don't smell right. Of course, Justin was never a fan of FTX because he says, in quote, you should never trust a man with 3 names and hair like that. That's basically what he told me. He was like, I don't trust him because he's got 3 names and he's got hair like that. I was like, well, I mean, I guess that's a reason. But at the same time, like, all jokes aside, like FTX to me was the red flag that we needed to see. Right? You listen to people like Kevin O'Leary and, Meet Kevin and stuff like that. They're looking at things. They're not looking at crypto as if it's done. They're looking at crypto like stuff like this has to happen in order for us to make it to the next level. Because imagine if we got regulators that came in and we found out about 3 Arrows Capital, Terra Luna Classic, Voyager, and now FTX all in one day. Because regulators came in and pulled their books. Crypto would be dead at that day. I guarantee you crypto would die that day. If we had 4 of those situations happen all at once because we got regulated, now these things that are happening are scaring a lot of the bad actors out of the game. And it's making people that are good actors say, all right, you guys want transparency? Here, let me open up these books and show you exactly what we've been working on. So I actually think what happened with FTX, I feel for anybody that lost money, don't get it twisted. But I actually think what happened with FTX was a necessary evil. I do agree with that. So
I agree. And Austin, we were actually just talking this morning. Now, this is somewhat still speculation, but there are some legit ties to SBF and all of these collapses that we've seen inside the cryptocurrency market in one form or another. The 3 Arrows Capital, the Celsius, the Voyager. So maybe this contagion was happening for a while. I mean, there's proof that they were basically insolvent back in April of 2021, not 2022, 2021.
Yeah.
People knew that they were running out of money. And so, what transpired after all of that? I don't know. Everything that went wrong with crypto this year. Of course, we can't control the macroeconomic stuff, but all the black swan events that happened inside crypto, there's a good chance that there were a lot of ties here with one guy.
Yeah.
I think that the contagion is going to continue to grow. I think that you see time and time again, people are now trying to distance themselves from FTX and SBF, very high profile individuals, as well as organizations, companies. This is going to get bigger and to a point, right? I think there will always be a certain amount of it that we will not know. But the fact of the matter is that there was a lot of stuff going on here that ultimately was not right. And a lot of people lost a lot of money, and that's not right.
Yeah, 100%. Jay, you have anything on that too? Anything on that?
I mean, not really. I think pretty much everything was said. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to see people lose this money, but it was no different with Voyager when Voyager wouldn't let people withdraw their money, right? Like, unfortunately, these big exchanges are beholden to their top holders, right? The people who are making them the most money, those are the people who are going to get their money back. And everybody else down below, they're scraps. And, if we're not, I think it's another reason not to have your money on exchanges. I think that's what it goes back to, is like, they don't care about you. I promise you they don't. If you have, $500 million in the exchange, you'll probably get your money back. But if you have $1,000, $100,000, even $1 million, you're probably not going to see it again. Like, let's just be honest, right? So it's better just to keep your money off exchanges. Now, what I really like though is that these other exchanges are telling you don't put your money on our exchanges. That's interesting, right? Because how do they make their money? They make their money off of these fees. So the fact that they're willing to say, hey, get your money into crypto, use us for the fees, and then swap out, they're still getting theirs, right? They're still getting their fees, they're getting their transfer fees, they're getting all that stuff. But they're saying, hey, look, don't hold with us, right? And I think that's kind of dope, honestly. Like, they still get their money. They know they're going to get their money, but you have your wallet that you know is safe and protected. The crypto is yours, and that's it. So that on that front, I will say it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree, Justin. Or go ahead, Austin. Go ahead.
No, well, go ahead. You were going to say what I was going to say. I mean, go ahead, man.
I was just going to make the quick note. I mean, I agree with them doing that because they don't make money by us holding it there. They make money with us transacting with it, buying, selling, trading, converting. So like they're like, hey, buy it here. That's cool. We want your business. Buy it here, but then get it over there on your ledger, right? And then when you're ready to sell it, bring it back over to this trusted exchange. Insert trusted exchange here, and then sell it whenever you want, right? So you need us at some point, but you don't need to be holding your money here. Go ahead, Austin, or holding your assets here.
Well, I mean, that's actually it. I mean, but you pay fees even if you're on DeFi. I mean, so you're always going to pay fees. So it is what it is, right? And so it's smart for them to say that. And look at what's happening. Everybody's applauding them for saying that when, quite frankly, their business model is still not going to really be impacted from a fee and transactional standpoint. So why not say that?
Well, I think it's a trust thing, right? Because if you go to DeFi and you like, okay, so you're brand new, right? You've never been in DeFi crypto before, right? Where you're going? You're going to the centralized exchange. You're not coming to DeFi first, right? And when you do come to DeFi, you do find your way to DeFi. There are so many projects on DeFi that there's scams everywhere. You could be trying to buy Clearcryptos and accidentally buy the wrong Clearcryptos, and now you just got fleeced out of your money because now you have a token that you can't sell and they've taken your money from you, right? But if Clearcryptos gets on a centralized exchange, you go and buy it on a centralized exchange, then you know you have the right token because that is the only Clearcryptos on that exchange, right? And then at that point, you transfer it over to your DeFi wallet. So I think there is a level of security there where people are like, okay, well, if I know I want SHIB and I know I want only Shiba Inu and I don't want to mess around with all these other fake Shiba Inus, let me go to the centralized exchange, let me buy it here, and then let me throw it on my wallet. So I think that's the reason why people would prefer to use a centralized exchange over a DeFi exchange. I mean, it's the only reason why.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I just think we can't see Austin because it's a big old announcement.
My
But
bad. They should automatically just remove that.
Hold on, Zach, put that back up there. I want to do something. Put that back up there.
Well, no one's going to see what you're doing anyway.
You're right.
Put a thing up. There you go. I want to do that. Hold on. There you go. Hello.
Nobody can see you.
Nobody can see you anyway, bro.
I'm doing my little fingers on my little eye. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry.
Oh God.
Zach,
sorry,
I'm not being professional enough for Jay. Excuse me. I'll be professional. Talk like that.
No, I just think, kind of like to Justin's point is like being on a centralized exchange to me is you should use it what it's meant to be used for, right? Like Justin's saying, like if you got $2,000, I hate to break it to you, they don't care. They're the first thing that happens every time we heard of a crash. FTX, Voyager, Terra Luna Classic, Three Arrows Capital. What's the first thing we heard centralized exchanges do?
Pause withdrawals.
Pause withdrawals. Why do you think that is? Right? Like
market conditions. Market conditions. That's the reason why.
They either got hacked, right? Or they pause withdrawals, right? Like if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about centralized exchanges, like I don't know what does. The writing is on the wall, and I'm not saying that they're criminal. What I'm saying is, if you understand the way centralized exchanges work, they're not going to let you bleed them dry. They're not going to let you do it. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to protect their stake, their investment. So why wouldn't you, if you have the tools to do so, why wouldn't you take the opportunity to protect your stake and your investment by using the centralized exchanges for what it's there for? You can use them to cash out. You can use them to trade buy ETH, send it to your wallet, then you're done. Send it to a cold wallet, you're even better, right? People need to start understanding that when things hit the fan, if we've learned nothing else from being in this bear market, one thing that I've taken away from this bear market is when things are bullish, everybody's happy, everything's great, nothing to worry about. But when things become bearish, the first thing that's going to go is your money, not theirs. It's going to be your money. How many times have you gotten your money stuck over in Coinbase, you know, during a quote unquote maintenance, right? Or quote unquote, you know, volatility issue. You can't get your money transferred out. And by the time you do get it, the ETH price is dumped $1,000. So I don't know what people need to hear, right? I think that people just need to really wake up and be more responsible with their investing, because in this particular crypto in general, there's more steps to being a boss. Because I think the difference between DeFi and the traditional stock market is in DeFi, in crypto, you are considered to be your own boss, your own custodian of your money. And if you're just running around willy-nilly without any type of protection or anything like that, you're going to get burned. And people don't believe it until they get, you know, they get that first taste of being burned. So
I think too, I mean, I want to make one more point on this, and then we'll bring it back to Clear. They have a big announcement tomorrow, guys, that's going to be live for everybody tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Something that hasn't been done before in crypto, to my knowledge. So, and it's going to be very, very interesting for holders of Clearcryptos. So on that front, though, Hobbs, one thing that I kind of, you know, really, you see this after all this plays out. You wonder, I mean, you don't know for sure, but you get the feeling like, how much money did they need to be spending on advertising if they are now in a financial situation, right? So it's like Kraken, they weren't buying arenas or doing anything crazy. They seem to be okay during the bull market. Whereas, listen, and I like crypto.com, don't get me wrong, but I think from whatever happened with that $400 million transfer, they're not in the best financial situation, right? And maybe they'd be in a better financial situation if they didn't over leverage themselves through marketing as much as they did during the bull. So I think this could be a learning tool for a lot of these centralized exchanges too, how to allocate marketing funds, when to spend it. I mean, you got to be prepared for the worst days, which we're going through now. I mean, FTX, I don't know if that's what happened to them. Maybe they always just were meant to fail at some point, but they could have just over leveraged themselves so much to the point where there was no hope.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, I know we share differences of opinion on crypto.com, right? I want to believe that crypto.com is in a better place than FTX was, just because I felt like
I think they are too. Let me be clear.
Right? I don't think that they made a mistake. I think that was incompetence, right? Like, I'm not taking that away. Like, I don't care how you break it down. If you send $400 million to the wrong wallet, maybe you should have started with $1 or 10, right?
Did you hear about the $11 million?
Yes.
Did you hear about the $11 million they sent to some lady in August?
Yes, they just did that. You literally took the point right out of my statement, because the next thing I was going to say, this is not the first time, however, that crypto.com has done things like this. If you guys remember 2-3 months ago, we covered the story on Zach's channel, my channel, Austin's channel. We talked about this story. We even covered it on Clear, because it was so astonishing to me that they sent a refund to some lady for $11 million and then tried to sue her for the money as if it was her fault. Right. It was like, to me, that at some point you got to call incompetence for what it is, because there's no way you can be that incompetent. They should have, like, again, check and balances. They should have something in place where before we send this amount of money, if you're sending 50 to 5,000, 50,000, no big deal, right? You send it. If it messes up, you fix it. But if you're sending a certain amount, anything over $1 million or $10 million, you should probably have a check and balance system where we send a test transaction over to make sure. Because look at a bank, right? If you got a bank account and you want to get $10,000 or anything over 10 grand sent to your account, they're not letting you send it in one transaction. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to send a test transaction, make sure that's the right account, make sure everybody agrees, make sure that's good to go. If you're sending large sums of money somewhere, the bank's not going to let you do it. Crypto should be no different. So for me, not having that check and balance system, yeah, it raised a red flag. And I actually got a cool thumbnail that I'm about to put out, but it kind of raised a red flag for me for crypto.com, but not in a sense of they did something that not in a sense that their books are fucked up, just the sense of, I feel like their competency level, who's ever sending this shit out, needs to be fired and they need to be replaced by somebody else. But I don't think crypto.com is in the same realm as FTX, because I feel like if they were, we would have known this weekend, because this weekend it was a straight up free smoke weekend. It was like, oh, you effed up. It was like everybody was just telling on everybody. So I feel like if it was going to come out, it probably would have came out this weekend. So I bought the dip at 5 cents. Just saying.
Well, I got a question off of Zach's point with the marketing thing. So, like, FTX was the 4th largest exchange in crypto, right? But do you think they get there without the marketing, right? Because if you think about it, buying the arena, buying all the sponsorships, right? Like all that stuff, they're not the only ones who do that. I mean, you already said, we know crypto.com, they have the crypto.com arena as well. We see them in commercials. They have sponsors just like FTX does. And to be honest, I think that they come under the most fire because they are close to FTX, right? Like Binance, we don't really see that as much as we saw that with crypto.com. So I think that's where that comparison comes from between the two, and why people are worried about crypto.com, because they basically have the same marketing plan, right? So the question is like, do they get there without that marketing? Like, was that necessary?
It's a great question. I don't know. I mean,
you have to market. No, I mean, but look at FTX. They put themselves on the market. I mean, yeah, they were there, but the Tom Brady thing, I remember when that commercial aired, I literally paused it and went, what the hell did I just see? And backed it up and watched it. And I'm like, holy shit. Brady. I was like, who? And I'm in the industry. I'm like, I kind of know about this FTX, but what the hell? They just did this deal with Brady. That put them on the map, right or wrong, however, good or bad, positive, whatever you want to say. From a marketing perspective, Justin, that I was like, what? Who? What? Holy shit! What are we doing here? Right?
I think it's a big lesson, though, right?
Yeah, I agree. Just because it doesn't make them any better.
No, and just because Tom Brady is putting his name on it, and Mr. Wonderful says it's the only exchange you won't get screwed over on, doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
We've just realized
but those names hold weight.
That actor.
But that's the point. Hold on, Hobbs. That's the point, Justin. Look at what I just said. I'm in the industry. I kind of knew who FTX was. When I saw the Tom Brady thing, my immediate reaction was, wait a minute. Oh, this is serious.
They're legit.
Because of Brady's brand, I immediately associated that with Brady's brand, and it was strategically smart as shit on FTX's part to do that. And because they got the benefit of his stellar image and all that stuff. Right. But that's the point, Zach, right? Don't listen to that shit and don't buy into it if you see him on there. Yeah. You know?
But that's based off of people, right? Right. From a business standpoint, you're saying that was genius. But from a people standpoint, that's how we are, right? When we see somebody who's trustworthy, when we see somebody who we'd be like, oh yeah, even though we're not in that position, it's like, oh, well, I identify with Brady, right? Whether I'm a fan, I'm personally a hater, but whatever. But you see that and you're like, well, he's made a lot of money, he's successful, he's a businessman, right? Regardless of who any of these stars are, so you feel safe, especially with Mr. Wonderful, who I also am not a fan of, by the way. But again, it's just like one of those things where I don't think FTX gets to where they were at without that. And I think that maybe they felt like they could get through all of this with just that strength alone. But I know Hobbs definitely has something to say. I'm curious. I want to know if we disagree.
So I'm not even going to agree or disagree. I'm just going to add something to the argument, right? What I want to add to the argument is, let's not act like FTX, just because of marketing, was a good play. Let's go back to what FTX actually stood for. Remember, FTX was going in a different route. They were changing the game. They weren't just going for crypto. FTX changed the game for me because they were adding stocks. They were adding stock options. They were going to start getting payment for order flow. FTX was on a route that they could have, if they didn't screw over all this money, right? They could have started bringing in revenue to compete with the larger exchanges, because now they're not just getting transaction fees. They're not just getting, the fees from the crypto side. They were also getting ready to tap into the stock and the stock option world, which is a whole different ballgame. Remember, their largest influencers beyond, right, Tom Brady and all these guys. You're talking about Meet Kevin, Andre Jig, Keenan Grace, like name them.
Graham
The
Stephan.
top, Grant Stephan,
Yeah.
name the top YouTubers in the financial YouTube land. They were all sponsored by FTX, not because of their ties to crypto, but in addition to their crypto, they also knew that they were coming for the stock market as well. So when we talk about the marketing, yes, that was a part of it. Of course, everybody needs marketing, but the image of FTX is what made me bullish on it. The utilities that they were going to bring to the space. Imagine if Binance decided to start trading stocks and start getting the revenue, the kickback from payment for order flow. Some people don't like it, but it's still revenue. It's a massive amount of revenue. And they already do crypto. They already have the highest trading volume in the country. And now you're going to add stocks and options to that? Man, that's a game changer. So for me, it wasn't about the mark. I was shocked because they had a really good plan that they didn't really, we never got to see develop. So that's what I wanted to add.
I think what you're saying is they had the ability to market to you, somebody who's been in the game for a long time, but they also had the ability, to Austin's point, to market to the guy on his couch watching NFL football who's not in crypto yet. Well, if Tom Brady says so, I'm getting in. So they hit every single angle, and that's partly why they were able to grow so fast. But going back to this marketing kind of thing, don't forget Voyager went under earlier this year. Who touted Voyager like crazy? Mark Cuban. He got a lot of pushback and blowback from this all over the Jumbotron in Dallas during the NBA season. Voyager this, Voyager that, Voyager this, Voyager that. I mean, so it's tough. I mean, do I think Mark thought it was going to go under? No, I don't. There's sometimes it just happens that way and it looks bad. But basically, I guess the moral of the story is don't get influenced just by that. We got to look deeper. Here's the thing. I would have never known how legit Kraken is because until yesterday.
I had no clue.
They're not out there on billboard. They're not doing all that, but they're unbelievable from what I can see, right?
From what we heard in that Twitter space, I became extremely more bullish on Kraken. Exactly. I was blown away by the simple fact that I didn't know they were out that long. Right? Like I didn't even know they were out that long. Yeah. And
I had to go to Wikipedia. I'm like,
right. When I really started hearing the CEO talk, I was like, I actually like Kraken now. Like I feel like that's they're on to the right things. And I feel like them and CZ, they're all on the same page, which is what I really like. It made me very bullish on Kraken as well. So you're spot on with that one.
Well, what's interesting with that is maybe marketing on Twitter might be the new way. Maybe they need to get on more Twitter Spaces and stuff like that. Be more, I mean, I'm joking a little bit, but to be honestly serious, like that might be one way, especially with the whole transparency. And also too, one thing that I've always said that I really, really, really like about about crypto that you don't get in the stock market, and why I feel like everybody who's early should feel very, very fortunate, more fortunate than I think people feel. And that's because whether you're invested in a token, a company, a coin, whatever, or even just you like these exchanges, the fact that you can go into a Twitter space and get an answer from the top people, you can't do that you can't go up to Elon Musk and be like, hey man, what's going on with Tesla today? You can't do that. You can't go to
Tesla in no Twitter space.
Right, exactly. You can't, I mean, you might be able to go to a Twitter space now and talk to him about some Twitter, but that's a completely another matter. But my point being is that we have a rare opportunity to voice our opinions in this space, right? Whether it's whatever project that you like, you have people who are accessible and connected to where you can get these answers, and you don't get that anywhere else. So that level of I guess intimacy within projects or companies is something you don't find, and I think that's awesome for the crypto space. I think that's how we grow too as a whole crypto community.
But I think, Justin, you bring up a valid point. Twitter, right? I think that Twitter is completely about to revolutionize the game. And I'm talking about the platform game, the content distribution game, all that. I think Elon has such massive plans for it. And we all know his stated direction. He wants to go after YouTube and all these other guys, and he's smart to do that. But at the end of the day, it's going to change. And I think that Twitter will become so dominant in crypto, even way more than it is now, because of the man who's running it. you know.
Yeah, they're going to have their own wallet. I'm sure everybody wants them to do something with Dogecoin. I don't know if you guys heard on that Twitter space. He said Doge to the moon. It went up like 12%. So Hobbs, I had to make a little swing trade play on that late at night.
Hey, look, you was the first person that I saw that reported on it. I was unpacking all weekend, so I was literally just watching my Twitter at the top. You know how you get the notification on the phones,
right?
And I saw you say, "Hey, Elon Musk just said Doge going to the moon." I said, "Zach,
dude,
as buy him a bag."
as soon as he entered the chat, they were like, "Oh my gosh, Elon is here!" I opened the Robinhood app immediately. And literally, it was like, how much money do I got in my balance? $800. All right, Doge, boom. Lo and behold, I cashed out, and like 15 minutes later, I made like 100-some bucks.
No shit.
Because he came in and they were talking about, this token, that token, FTX, this and that. What do you think? He was like, well, Dogecoin to the moon. I was like, oh God.
Oh my God.
Here we go again. I was like, here we go again.
Zach's waiting there. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Oh, I was ready. Zach
was like, bye.
100%.
Zach, you are becoming a trader, man. You are becoming a trader.
I don't know about that. I'm waiting for version 2 to come out with Clearcryptos because that's kind of, that's kind of going to change the game. It's going to make it a lot easier. V1 is out, by the way, guys. We got a big announcement dropping tomorrow. So, but the analytics V1 is out. Hobbs, Justin, I know you guys are pumped about this. We don't really have something like this in crypto yet, right? I mean, this is going to change the game for a lot of people, especially during the bear market. I know you guys talk about this all the time. There's still a way to make money and not just wait and hodl during this bear market. And I think this is going to be a great tool to use.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the V2, just because I feel like this particular portion, like John was saying in the previous AMA, like the V2, the version 1 right now is kind of like, hey, mess around with it, get used to the tools. This is a new, this is a new product, right? This is like, switching from Google to Apple, right? Like, or Apple to Google, right? Just play around with it, because when the next version comes out, that's when you're going to start to see the full use case for the V2. Right now, people are looking and they're like, okay, well, you know what? Just give it a little time, play with it, right? Mess around with it, try to configure some things. And then when the V2 comes out, hopefully around Christmas, when the V2 comes out, you'll really truly understand the analytics platform and why me and Justin have been very, very bullish on this thing from the beginning. So,
yeah. Well, I think what I like about this is that anybody can go on this and they can very quickly navigate through everything, and it's not overly complicated, right? It's not anything confusing, and it's all laid out in a way that's very easy to use. It's all about with the user in mind, right? And as it should be, right? Because you should want to make it easy for everybody. And I'm not saying that the V2 is not, but it's like another stepping stone, right? So when you get used to using this analytics platform, okay, now we're going to hit you with a little bit more information, and this information is going to help you make an even better decision than you could before. And then, I mean, at least for me, I'm hoping to see even more, right? We just keep progressively adding on more layers and layers to give people more ways to interpret what they see. And, maybe Zach sees something differently than I see it, but this feature allows me to see it the same way, but so that we can come to the same conclusion. But because we see it differently, I need to see it this way, and you need to see it this way to come to this conclusion. And that's what happens a lot of times in trading. Like me and Hobbs, we'll talk a lot, and he'll see something some way, I'll see something the other way, but we'll come to the same conclusion, right? And so I feel like the more ways you have and the more data you have to interpret, it just makes life a lot easier. And that's what Clear is doing. And I'm super excited to get my hands on this. I really, really, really can't wait, because I know there are ways to see what you can see on this new update, but this is going to make it way easier, and it's going to break everything down so much easier that even the newest person will be able to understand, which is awesome.
Having more tools in the toolbox, right? To become a better trader. I think that's really at the crux of what we're trying to do, what they're trying to do on the back end here at Clear. And, the thing is, a lot of people ask the big question of utility. And I think with Clearcryptos already, by using the swap, which is extremely fast, all of us have used the fiat on-ramp as well, which is in and of itself a utility. You get reduced fees there. Down the line, that token will be integrated into the analytics platform. I'll wait to give you all the specifics on that until we can kind of talk about all of that. But there's going to be use case there, and many other different use cases through kind of like the frequent flyer programs, right? That you see where, listen, you want to create a use case for a crypto, make it where you can only get access to certain things with this crypto, right? And I think you're starting to see kind of how Clear has that vision. Austin, go ahead. Do you want to say something?
No, I think you're probably getting close to wrapping it up, coming up on an hour, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
It's time for me to go take a nap. I have to go take a nap. Come on,
man. I need to get outside and enjoy some sun, man. I've been at this.
Yeah, we seen you out there getting your Baywatch on the other day on Twitter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Like I thought you were talking about me up north.
I gotta I'm talking about Zach. He was out there running around like he was Hasselhoff on Baywatch.
Oh, I saw that tweet. I'm like, oh, seriously, dude, put a shirt on, man. Come on.
Man, I was just hoping a good-looking girl drove by or something, man. That's all I was,
I don't need to see that shit. I don't need that visual. I don't. Yeah, come on.
Well, you got it. I didn't see it. Thank God. I think I'm gonna block Zach after that. I'm gonna have to block.
You know what? I'm gonna do it next, and you guys are gonna be like, "Oh my God, Austin! No. You know."
Hey, 53 people hanging out with us too. We had a really big live stream last time we did this too. So we're watching this thing grow. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So if you guys would hit that subscribe button down there, hit the like button, help us grow, because we really want to be a resource, especially when this bull market comes back, because it's going to come back. And there's going to be a lot of new people coming into crypto, and we're laying that foundation now to be a big voice for the next wave of people coming in after the dust settles from old SBF and FTX, right?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
More dust is coming.
I'm excited, man. I get my office set up tomorrow, so get my new desk coming in tomorrow. Cannot wait.
Nice
to really be back into crypto, man. I'm excited, or YouTube rather.
So, Hobbs, you guys are live in an hour, right?
Yeah, we're live in an hour. I just sent the thumbnail out, so you guys can come check us out over there. We'll be talking about Clear, as well as everything else going on with the market. I mean, FTX is the biggest story, obviously. But there's some other things that we want to discuss in the stock market today as well. So
there you go. In about an hour, you can head over to the crypto shop and tune in over there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Good convo, guys. Appreciate you guys, and we'll take care. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.